Can restrictions be turned into an experience that people enjoy? Welcome to Thank God It's a Story Saturday, a weekly video series where I share stories with you that you can use to make your messages connect. Today's story is from this book called A Beautiful Constraint that I read a long time ago. But I was reminded of this story because a couple of weeks ago, a client of mine and I met in an office. And by the time we actually met in the office, we both said this would have been easier on Zoom because we were fatigued by signing, scanning, sanitizing, and whatnot. So this story goes back to the year 2012 when Heather McGill was appointed as the head of spectator experience for London Olympics and Paralympics. So never in the history Olympics has ever had a role like this, head of spectator experience. This goes to show that they were really serious, that spectators really enjoy the event. So Heather and her team started to look at how they were going to manage close to 63 events over a 13-week period, which is a challenge for any host city. As they looked at the logistics, they planned and noticed that usually the time where the spectator experience gets compromised is when large popular events finish simultaneously and people leave, which creates a lot of crowd and movement really becomes hard, and that is one of the places where the experience is compromised. So a traditional way of handling that always has been through dot matrix sign, but then in this Olympics they didn't have enough funds to be able to do that, but they were not going to give up. They then started to kind of look at what did other cities do, and they looked in Sydney. They had more manpower with loud hailers and stuff like that, which helped them manage the crowd. So Heather and her team looked at it and said, well, of course logistically we can manage this with what Sydney has done, but does it really create an experience for people? And the answer for them was a big, bold no. Heather had been the producer for Spice Girls before, so she understood how restrictions sometimes really come in between the experience. So what did the team do? They said, okay, well, let's do this. Once the event is over in the stadium, why don't we have more music and songs playing and stuff like that to create and hold the crowd longer in the stadium? And they did that. They also created at the circumference of the stadium, they created sort of, satellite activities that would engage people and make the traffic move into the different direction rather than everyone moving through the exits. They also had, for people who decided, irrespective of what was happening in the stadium or in the peripheral areas, still wanted to leave, they had these game maskers who had these foam hands, and they were directing people with that rather than screaming on the loud hailers, etc. So they took a lot of notice that people come to these events to enjoy these events. How can we make them better despite the restrictions? 86% of the ticket holders that year said that was the best experience ever. Why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story for the experience that I had with my client the other day. When we go back to work, we're going to have to face a lot of restrictions, which is normal, required. But can we have a conversation about how can we make sure that we conserve the energy and all our will to want to go and do the work that we want to do in the office and not fatigue in these restrictions? How can we achieve that? The question is there. I hope you'll ask, discuss, and find a solution. Stay storied, and I will see you here next Saturday.